on, guys? Chris Monson. It's over a year sober, a year and a few weeks, just telling my story. Maybe some people could get something from it, maybe you won't, who knows. But basically, long story short, I'm gonna skip over a bunch of parts. I was going on to about maybe my fourth or fifth detox in like the month, because I would just leave no matter where you put me in New Jersey, and I would just leave and find somewhere to, do what I had to do. And so the last people that pretty much haven't given up hope on me was my mom and my sister. And they picked me up from Newark. I was homeless in Newark for a while, just bumping chains, boosting from stores, and I was real sick, going through withdrawals, and they picked me up and they brought me all the way to Flushing, Queens, which was like a hospital, which a detox center was in the hospital. And it was like the 5th floor or something like that. And so they figured if I bring him all the way out to Queens to another state, he's definitely not going to leave. He had no clue where he even is. So I was withdrawing, throwing up my whole way to Flushing, Queens, lying down in the backseat of the car, puking. I had no clue what my surroundings were, but I just knew I was going to Queens. So I was like, all right, I should be in pretty good shape once it's time to break out of this place. So I was in there for about 2 days, waited till they got me comfortable and stuff, with the little bit of meds they try and give you to, calm down. And about the second day, I was talking to this white guy. He was probably in like his 30s, all tatted up from head to toe, neck looked pretty crazy. And he was telling me how he just got done doing 10 years for burglary. And I actually at the time was thinking about doing burglary when I left Jamaica, Queens, because I just had no clue how I was going to get money. I didn't have a dollar to my name, but I knew I had to leave here and, do what I had to do. So I was talking to the white guy, and I was like, hey, so did you get 10 years for armed robbery? And he's like, of course, armed robbery. What do you think? I strong-armed him? And he's pretty intimidating, and he's kind of pissed, and he's just like, because I was telling him, I'm like, yo, I'm pretty much going to leave here and try and, find somewhere to get high. He's looking at me. He's like, dude, you ain't even from Queens. You don't even know what block you're on. He's like, you got no money. He's like, you're from the Jersey Shore, at the time I was living in the Jersey Shore, grew up in Newark, moved to the Jersey Shore, became homeless in Newark again, and then got to here. And I kind of took that as a challenge from him. And I was like, you don't think that I'll survive? So I checked myself out. I was surprised at how easily it was to sign yourself out of the Flushing, Queens hospital. You just sign yourself out and you leave. And as soon as I left, I got outside, and to my surprise, it was a really nice area. It was all Chinese people. It's like Chinatown, but in Queens. Like, it's like really nice, And I'm like, yo, I thought I was about to be in Queens. Like, I really haven't been much outside of New Jersey, so I really didn't, I just go by what I thought Queens was like. So to my surprise, there's really good areas in Queens too, and Flushing, Queens was one of them. So as soon as I got there, I was like, man, I got to find my way to somewhere bad, and I'm not going to incriminate myself, but I did some pretty shady stuff. And I got up a few dollars, and I got on to this bus, and I got onto the bus. I had to get onto the bus quickly because I did some shit where I just had to get onto the bus quickly. And I jumped onto the bus, and it's all Chinese people, the whole bus. I'm like, oh my God. And then there's one black guy all the way in the back. And I was like, all right. So I walk all the way to the back, and I was like, hey man, what's up? I was like, yo, do you know where I can find like the nearest like housing projects or like the nearest hood or something like that? And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, like, I like need to be pointed to the worst place you could think of. And he's like, I ain't never had nobody ask me that shit before, dog. But he's like, if you stay on this stop to the last stop, you'll get to Jamaica, Queens. And I was like, Jamaica. I was like, all right. I think I could deal with that. So I stayed on to the last stop. I got off in Jamaica, Queens, and it was a ride from there, man. A few months I was homeless, just sleeping wherever, my feet ended up at the end of the night. It's pretty cool, borough of Queens. a lot of energy there, a lot of, people at nighttime by the train station shooting dice and rapping and, just bullshitting around, selling their weed. You got the weed guys at the train stations, by the movie theaters. And, if you go a few blocks off, which I got off to Jamaica, Queens on the main strip, and then I had to find the hood from there. And I'm like, because the main strip is not where you ever want to get, drugs at. You want to go off to the, it's like Atlantic City, you ever go to the boardwalk to try and find it, you got to go off to the back spots, so I got to there. I ended up finding where the hood was at, and to my surprise, New York is a lot different than New Jersey. They run a lot different, like in New Jersey, if you go to any hood around here, Camden, Newark, Patterson, Asbury, Atlantic City, just, all them spots, you could just roll up. And guys, if you go up to the hood, if you go to a bad spot, kids are running up to your car trying to sell you drugs. I don't care who you are. Like, as long as like you look regular, they're like, we're trying to get bread. They're hungry out here. In New York, they ain't trying to go to Rikers Island over $5-10. If they don't know you, they ain't serving it to you. So, long story short, I found that out the hard way. I had to go through middlemen and all this stuff. I'm really not trying to tell these stories to trigger anything from anybody. I'm just trying to tell my experience, and that, because I was thinking today, I was like, man, no one's probably even gonna hear this or care. But I was like, there's some kids maybe across in the Midwest or something that don't know how it is around here in North Jersey and stuff, and don't know how stuff is, and maybe they'd be intrigued for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, so I got off to there, did some crazy stuff in those few months that I was there that I really can't get into again. And I was running with this one guy who was pretty much, I started off begging for change. I had no clue how I was going to get any amount of dollars in my life. It was probably one of the most embarrassing times of my life. I was legit stood at a corner and asked people for any change or water or food. And to my surprise, there was a lot of people that were very generous. Some people gave me, I remember this Asian girl gave me like $20 one time. Like, people bought me food all the time. They was like, yo, what do you want? Come in the Burger King. Boom, they got me food, Some people laughed, made jokes with me. It was like, wow, look how young that kid is. He's homeless, And for the first time in my life, as somebody who grew up with a lot of friends and a lot of people around me, I never felt so alone and so secluded. I felt like a recluse. Like, it was just like I would see thousands of people a day, and maybe only like 2% would even notice that I was there, even if I was like right in front of their face, like asking them for something that was like didn't even see me, So long story short, I got tired of asking for money. I started boosting from stores, and I ran into this guy. I started to run out of stores to boost from, so he was kind of showing me around, Queens, like stores that I didn't know about, little side streets and shit like that, little bodegas. And he ended up not liking the cut that I was giving him that day, so we were walking past, like, we were just walking around Queens, abandoned houses, bandos everywhere. That was pretty much where I slept most of the time, just an abandoned house, where it looked like there was thousands of people sleeping there before me, and just a drug den. It was pretty disgusting, and kind of something out of, like, a horror movie. But, I would sleep in the abandoned houses and stuff. Yeah, so we were walking past the house, and he was mad about the cut I wanted to give him that day, and he picked up this lead pipe and he whacked me across the back of the head, split my head open. Before I even know what hit me, I was like a chihuahua. When like a dog gets hit, and he just started running before they even know what hit him. Just as soon as I got hit, I just started running, because not too many guys could catch me on drugs or not. I've always been a fast kid, so I knew that dude was not going to catch me, even though I kind of wanted to turn around and fight him for that, but he did have a pipe in his hand. So he split my head wide open. I ended up going to a bando and finding a weapon myself and trying to look for him. It was just a nightmare. My head was split open. I looked like a rhino. There was like a lump on the back of my head. And I was like, man, I need to get my ass back to Newark and hustle from there, because I was about to start to get myself in some trouble in Jamaica, Queens. And I really wasn't trying to get locked up in no Rutgers or not, and no Rikers. So Rutgers, I wish I was going to Rutgers, but I wasn't trying to get locked up or nothing. So I did my final big boost. I was like on some like Ocean's 11 type shit, but like a lower version for someone like me, and made a pretty good amount of bread. I would sell my merchandise at the barber shops and stuff, which I was surprised. In Jamaica, Queens, you could really go about with selling shit and going to barber shops, or I would just stand on Jamaica Ave and I would sell waters for $1. I would sell anything. I would sell shoes, the clothes, whatever I had. Red Bulls. People would always buy stuff. In Newark, not so much. It was a little more harder, but I felt more comfortable in Newark just because it was in New Jersey, and I knew my areas a lot more than I did in Jamaica, Queens. I really knew no strip besides Jamaica Ave and that right that I made by the bridge, by the train tracks that went into the hood. I knew that little block, and I wasn't even really allowed on any other blocks besides that one block, because like I said, when I first came up, I realized real quick that they don't just serve to people that they don't know. So I walked up to them with the wrong lingo. I was asking for a nickel, and they only sell dimes. They was like, yo, I don't know who sent you here, cop, but we about to kill your ass. So right from the jump, I was like, not welcome there on some specific block. So I really kind of had to stay on this one block, and then the main strip, Jamaica Ave. And I was there for 2-3 months, to my surprise, for the first time in my life. Homeless, without a place to stay, and just kind of living day by day with only one goal, to get hot. And it was like, when I look back at it, that was like probably the worst moment of my life. Like, it was just, I was so sad, so alone. Like, you sat there sometimes and thought, like, man, do people even know if I'm, like, here right now? Like, does my family and friends even think I'm still alive? Like, do they even care? So you kind of just get in a darker, deeper hole. When you're so down, sometimes it's hard to pick yourself back up. But then from there, I took a train to Newark, and I was homeless there for another 3-4 months. And where I got stabbed, my foot broke. Almost got killed a few times, got shot at. Crazy stuff went down in there. That would be the part 2. But it's like I said, I don't even know if anybody even listens to this or even cares to listen. So I ain't just gonna ramble on for a few other parts if ain't nobody care to listen. So just give me some feedback. I mean, I still got 0 subscribers, so I don't think it's going too crazy. But I mean, I guess I'll see. Thank you, guys.